Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the show where we discuss the film Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny 3 minutes at a time. My name is Tom Taylor.
My name is Pete. Looks like they're leaving without you guys. Mummery.
I'm the intern, Gerald Christopher Marcus. Tell us your story. Porter.
And we are joined today by our dear friend, the fifth Beatle, the fourth Beatle, however you want to say it, our old pal, Professor Christy Porter. Welcome back, Christy.
Yay.
Oh, thanks, guys. It's good to be here.
You've been
Nice
with
to
us
see
since
ya.
the beginning and beyond.
And beyond.
Yeah, we're here to talk about minutes 3 through 6 of Dial of Destiny, and these minutes begin with dogs.
4 through 6.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you start at 0, and then it's 0 to 3, and then you start. It's like the beginning of 3 to the. Forget it. It's 3 to 6. This is how we're going to do it. Otherwise, my brain's going to break in half.
All right.
But anyway, poor Basil. He doesn't have to deal with math, but he has to deal with dogs chasing him through the woods while Indiana Jones is strung up with a noose around his neck. The soldiers want to hear his story, but they hate the tale he tells about the sweaty little Pied Piper named Adolf, so they kick out his chair, letting him hang, and he's only saved by an undetonated bomb that lands in the room, which results in the deaths. Oh, what? Oh,
Keep
Jesus.
going. Okay.
All right. Which results in the death of everyone but him. Meanwhile, as the castle's precious artifacts are being loaded onto a train, suspected spy Basil is brought before Colonel Weber, and Basil too is loaded onto the train. And the minutes end with Dr. Fuller watching with concern as the fake Lance of Longinus is loaded aboard.
I like that he's Basil too.
I know, he's
Like there was
Basil,
Basil
too. Like
1 and Basil 2.
Basil 2.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say, Tommy, that was just a riveting and
was.
fantastically
Oh,
put together
thank God.
summation.
Well done.
And I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interject my interruption. That was uncalled for. But
No. It adds to the excitement that we're trying to build here, Pete.
You know what else has the excitement is we get these wonderful German shepherds, and I feel like this might be a better movie if they were actual German sheep herders chasing back,
Chasing a clockmaker from a.
That's right.
chasing him through Jurassic Park.
I thought the dogs were smiling. I didn't think they were mad at anybody. I thought they were kind of smiling.
They're doing their jobs. They're happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out for a run, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so, Pete, you noticed that the forest was a little more like a garden. Like maybe a botanical garden, even.
Maybe. I'm just confused because I saw this. My whole thing last minute was that I seem to gather that Hitler is already in his bunker, hiding in his bunker, and it must be 1945, and Hitler was dead by the end of April of 1945. So somehow we are in full summer with full ferns in 1945. But
What if this is inside a greenhouse? This is like a huge greenhouse that you can't even see the walls, and it's on the property
That I
of the
like.
castle or
Yeah.
something.
yeah,
They're overdressed, though. They're overdressed for summer.
It would
Yeah.
be balmy.
Wasn't that always overdressing? The Germans always overdressing for the wrong occasions.
Yeah.
Like the desert, right?
Yeah.
Deep cut.
Yeah.
Maybe the ferns and the plants and the whole botanical garden has really just been pilfered from somewhere else. Kind of
Oh.
like they're loading all the the artwork and the precious valuables, and maybe the garden is really part of the castle, and it's
Like
just
that,
part of
like that plant thief E.T.
yeah.
like his ship.
It's like an art installment, a botanical art installment.
And ET's gonna come up a little bit later in this minute.
Impossible.
Segment, whatever. I don't know. What I'm gonna do now, I can't call it a minute anymore.
Right. We're all,
Right.
We're all messed up. Hey, speaking of messed up, Pete, you just mentioned 1945 and Hitler in his bunker and, sucking on his thumb or about to shoot himself and stuff. But everything I look up about this movie and this sequence in particular, everything says that it's 1944. So does that make any sense? Like, could it be like December 44? Like, I don't know.
Well,
Like, how long was Germany on the ropes before?
I mean, they were on the ropes for a while, but they didn't think they were on the ropes necessarily. Well, like the average German didn't necessarily know they were on the ropes at that point. But Also, by the time they got this close to Germany in 1944, it wouldn't have been that warm either. Because D-Day wasn't until June of 1944. And
So
they
this
didn't-
is the last
yeah.
6 months.
they,
then.
well, yeah, and they didn't cross into Germany until March.
And why
So
wouldn't
it-
you just say that it's 1945 anyway? Like we happen to have a history nerd.
Yeah,
here,
we didn't.
or
We didn't
two.
get
Yeah.
a little title card thing in this movie.
I
That
did.
would have
Well,
cleared
okay.
up a lot
I,
of stuff.
I agree. This does not seem like 1944. He says Der Fuhrer is in hiding.
Mm-hmm.
And
Unless he's lying. He could be lying.
Although it does
Oh.
make a little more sense, and like we were saying last time, like it seems weird that they're putting all this effort into saving all this stuff and carting it away to Berlin, which is supposedly in rubble. Like if the end of the war is a little further in the future, this whole scene makes a touch more sense, maybe.
Yeah, but they weren't. They were. I don't think they were ever carting things to Berlin. They were carting them like to the Alps or to the.
Oh,
I always
yeah,
thought
you
it was
said
at,
the
like
salt mines.
Switzerland, right? Isn't
Yeah,
that why like
Austria and
Switzerland got in big trouble
yeah, they were
for having all the Nazi
Yeah, yeah.
pilfer?
Did I make that up that they were going to Berlin? They say that, don't they?
No, they say they're taking the thing to the
Yeah.
field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Fuhrer wasn't in the Alps. I mean, I'm no historian, but that's not where he was. Just saying.
Huh.
So nobody thinks maybe he was lying and just kind of being just provoking people.
Oh, that Indy was?
Yeah.
Like you guys
Yeah,
didn't
so-
hear about Berlin? Well, you're
Exactly.
saying, nope, you didn't have
I
any stuff
kind of like,
It's been all
messed
the
up.
papers.
yeah.
there. I don't know how to tell you this.
Well, hey, Chris, a
Yeah?
question. Why
Yes.
do you think they don't have a title card or at least a location? It's not off the coast of Portugal.
Yeah,
No, and they
Peru,
didn't tell us the year,
1936.
which would have been convenient right about now, right?
Yeah,
It
so
would've been.
why-
Would've
why
saved
didn't
us
they
5
do
minutes of
that?
conversation.
So I don't know why they don't do that, except that, I was really distracted by the Disney logo that showed up. I very much missed the mountain. And I can't imagine why they did that, but I got all hung up on the fonts. I'll tell you that much.
Oh,
So-
okay.
Oh, and
No, I don't know if you guys covered fonts last time.
We didn't.
We didn't, but I thought about it. I mean, before you say anything, it seems to me that the fonts are right on. That they're straight
Well,
up
it
Raiders.
depends where we're going to start. So
Uh-oh.
yeah, it is. So deep cut on the fonts. So yeah, it is. It's absolutely straight on.
Okay.
They wanted to go back to Raiders. They're using, and you really can't trust the people who are identifying fonts on those interwebs, because a
Oh.
lot of people have identified these fonts as a lot of different things.
Okay.
But we do know that they return to the Raiders, which is the
Yeah.
original, unless you want to go chronologically, in which case we have Temple of Doom, which is the only one that's in orange,
Right.
and it looks a lot like Star Trek.
kind of
right,
does.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally Star Trek. So it was, so what are the things we see when they open the movie? We've got no mountain, we've got no location, we've got no date. We've got the right font though.
Mhm.
And what was the question?
I don't know. Well, you said you had a
Well, wait
beef with the fonts. I mean, the fonts have been the same between Raiders, Last Crusade, and Crystal Skull. They were all the
Yes.
same,
Yep.
or at least to my non-fonty eyes, they look the same.
They are the same. So those four are the same, or they're really very close.
Okay.
And then they were trying to be iconic and whatnot, and nobody know. They were all losing their minds during Temple of Doom, and it is the most 1984 font you can possibly imagine.
It is.
Or is it
Well, it is
83?
part of the. To be fair, it is part of that more regular non-Indiana Jones lettering is still from like it's the and the
Yeah.
lettering
Yeah.
from like Raiders of the Lost Ark and
Right.
of the I don't
It's
know.
Well,
interesting. This brings me back to I wish, like I kind of wish we had gotten the James Bond style of everything after Raiders was like Temple of Doom, where it was either different directors or it was different styles and it was different kinds of adventure. Like it wasn't all trying to remake Raiders.
Yeah.
It was new adventures like Temple of Doom was.
Well,
What if they had like actual James Bond openings for Indiana Jones movies?
Well, they kind of did.
They did for Temple.
Yeah.
Temple.
Yeah.
Temple
let's
of Doom, they
think
kind of
about-
did.
And
Kinda.
for Raider, I was going to say, let's come up with, just take a minute here. What are the things that, the components of a Indiana Jones franchise movie that you're expecting to have that's always there? And you're like, okay, the mountain, the Paramount logo melds into part of the first scene.
Mhm.
You know that Indy's going to grab his hat, right, in an
Yeah.
escape thing. He's going to, at some point he's going to grab his hat. There's going to be some little opening vignette.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of like James Bond. Yeah, whether it's South America or, Temple of Doom with the Anything Goes, or, the young Indy and Herman's horse sick.
There's treasure. There's something
Yeah.
valuable that shows up in the first 6 minutes.
There's a
Yeah.
brassy dame.
Okay,
That's
well,
the
okay,
thing.
so if something doesn't
the thing.
happen, like if the Paramount logo doesn't turn into the scene of a mountain or something like that, or the gong, like,
It's called the dissolve, Jer.
Yeah, come on.
thank you.
Thank you.
Then how are we, I mean, it's, Professor
It is
Christy
weird.
Porter-
If they knew they couldn't do the logo thing, the Paramount logo, because of legalities or whatever, they should have gone all faders up on everything else being normal in the opening. Like, give us a date, give us a place, do all the director,
Yeah.
writer, producers credits and everything.
Well, we didn't. It occurs to me though that we didn't get all of that stuff for Crystal Skull. We didn't get the little vignette.
I don't even remember how
Didn't we?
Crystal
Well-
Skull opens.
It opens with the thing with Area 15
Yeah,
or
so-
whatever being
Okay,
taken over by
so
the Russians.
Pete, I've given this a little bit of thought. So one of the other things that shows up in all of the beginnings is a bunch of really great either music or great sound effects. So we've got the kookaburra in Raiders, and it's not music, but it's kookaburra, so I'll take it. But everything else has music, and this does too. But for Crystal Skull, they've got Elvis.
Yeah.
They've got
That was very different.
it was very different. But if we're saying, okay, what are the things we can knit together and count on in the opening minutes? Good music or sound effects actually is one of them.
Well,
So I
You
thought
know
that
there's-
counted.
Okay.
there's going to
Sure.
be a map.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That
there
doesn't
is
get
a
it
map.
though.
Right.
I
Yeah.
can't even tell you how wrong they got the fonts on the map. I can't
Oh.
even tell you. They are like way, 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 way off. They're 70s and 80s fonts on the map.
Uh-oh.
That's
Uh-oh.
sloppy, people. Okay, but never mind. That's some other minutes, I'm sure.
All right. Well, I mean, those are things that we've
wait,
come to expect.
One more. When do we see the people who are starring in it? Is that something that like
Not until the end, like the end credits. That's what I'm saying. We don't get like Harrison Ford. We don't get the director. We don't get the writers. The
Temple of Doom?
producers,
They actually give you all of the names
Yeah, all of them. They give you all
Yeah.
the names
Yeah.
at the top.
Yeah.
in orange
It's
font.
odd.
It's odd. It's
Maybe this is a sign of like modern audiences not being used to having opening credits like that, or even
Yeah.
over action and stuff.
Yeah.
They
So
just
maybe-
wanna get
maybe
right
they-
to it.
They wanted to be they wanted to be fully immersed within the first 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, to me, I think we're already identified what to me is a problem with this movie is that Indiana Jones classically is not about audiences of today. It's a throwback to the serials of the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fun, action-packed throwback to those. And it would have names before the action starts. It feels like if they're turning this into a modern movie, we're already, and I think they kind of did, we've already kind of lost some of the magic of what Raiders is about in the first place. Like this movie to me doesn't feel like a throwback to the old serials.
Wow, I just got sad.
Sad
We're gonna
Bill.
use the
Tommy,
Sunbelt.
yeah, let's get a sad bell. Tommy, can we get a throwback to our Raiders season? Get a sad bell.
Well, yeah, but it's like people always talk about like Raiders being a throwback to the serials, but then people like us who didn't grow up with those serials kind of don't ever know what that means. So the best that this movie could do, or any of the movies after Raiders, would be throwbacks to Raiders.
And I was okay with that. I thought
Yeah.
thought the opening was I definitely knew I was in a Raiders movie or in an Indiana Jones movie at the beginning. I thought it was good, and I loved the font.
Okay.
And I love the music that showed up.
Okay.
But I don't know what you mean, Pete, that you thought it would be better if they had switched up directors? What kind
Oh
of
no, I don't. I'm not saying anything
blasphemy
about
is
the.
that?
I'm not saying anything about the. Well, I think it would have been better if it were Steven Spielberg, but
Oh, okay.
to me it feels more. This doesn't feel like. It just feels different than all the other movies, including Crystal Skull. I just feel like it feels much more brooding and much more like a modern movie than those other ones do. And
Well,
to me,
couldn't
I
that
like
be
this
in line with your wish to have very different Indiana Jones adventures?
That's a good point, but I feel like at this point it's kind of weird to.
You just want it to be a good one, yeah.
Well, because I don't think there'll be any more of them. Like, I think because of this.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Sad, Bill.
It's hard to imagine there being any more. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll change my mind as this goes along. Maybe I'll grow to love everything
We'll
about
see.
it.
You got time to think about it.
Yeah, I just need I need a relaxing day in a spa with lots of candles burning. Like, be relaxed in a nice chair.
Get the scratchy rope around the neck. Massage.
Wait, what?
Treatment.
Yeah.
What's Indy doing? Why is he talking like this? Looks like they're leaving without you guys. Like, it's like he's talking to a little kid.
I ain't nobody, dork. It's a very Bob Falfa kind of dopiness.
It's weird.
Right there.
It's just weird.
Yeah, that was surprising. That was surprising. And I also don't know why he said, a story. Okay. Was like, once upon a time.
The reason he says that is because the guy asks, like, what are they doing? Like, are they interrogating him or are they just executing him? Because the guy says, like, tell us your story, almost as if he's awkwardly asking, what are you doing here?
It's like the Canterbury Tales of the grave robber's tale.
Tell the one with the butts.
You know what I think? What happens is they get. I think they get like the power is out in the castle, right?
Yeah.
And the guys. It's like, so what do you do for entertainment?
Oh, and he's got
the
flashlight, and he points it at the ceiling at one point. Maybe he's supposed to be pointing it under his chin, like he's like, tell us your scary story.
Yeah, we've been hanging people all night. Just tell us a story, please. We're so bored.
Geez, we're exhausted.
Can I say though, I kind of hate how every cinematic moment of execution is like this now, where it has been for a long time, where the main character, like, you're seconds away from being executed, and instead of, like, I think like a living, breathing human, like having a moment of reflection or something, they always they have these bon mots, or like it's all like quips and like not at all like an actual human being seems like he or she would react in this situation.
Well, he's an action hero.
The whole point is, he has grace under pressure and even humor, as I think they're saying. Yes.
Does he expect that he's about to die? Like, does he? Like, he never really does.
He can't behave like that and think he's going to be dead in 8 seconds.
Well, okay, so hang on, Pete. Listen, you've been studying Buddhism for a while, and you've been sort of what's the word? Thanatoid in your
take that back. That's awful.
In your reflections and your life philosophy. So, do you think that that's what Indy has going on? Like, he's so comfortable with death.
It's like every moment he's so in the present. He just
by now he knows that he should have been killed multiple times. He's like, I'm probably not going to die right now. I'll just kind of go with this and tell these guys off.
He's so comfortable with his mortality, and he's like, listen, I'm gonna get a few good, clever, humorous quips in, and whatever will be.
But why is it seems like he's trying to get them to kill him faster, but that seems like it's counterproductive that he's trying to escape at the same time.
Yeah, I'm a little puzzled on the math there. So he's stalling. He's stalling because he's trying to untie himself, right? But then you'd think he would stall a lot more by not making them mad so that they kick the chair.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, what does he have in his hand?
I don't know.
What
the little thing that he's cutting his ropes with?
Yeah,
what that came out of nowhere. We don't know how he got it out of his pocket. We don't know if it was in his belt loop. We don't know.
I mean, his uniform is bedecked with stuff, buttons, things. I don't know. It could be just something like that.
Oh, so here's a question for you, and I know this is calling back, but did he? Why does he have a bullet hole in that uniform?
Oh, maybe he took it off a guy who'd already been shot.
Shot. Now, did he shoot him?
Which is a callback to Han Solo in the Solo movie.
And I'm good with that. I'm really good with that. But he then didn't put on a Greedo skin. That's gross. So no. But so if he didn't shoot the guard, right? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that jacket be all full of blood?
Yeah, covered in blood.
You'd think so.
Yeah. Well, maybe he was at the dry cleaners.
Yeah, or the guy was like shaving. The guy was shaving or something. He had his jacket hanging up
like one of those
Sure.
racks that goes around the dry cleaner place.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's got a little tool and he's cutting himself free here, and then he's stalling, but not really.
Dry cleaner hangers.
Maybe that's
Okay.
Yeah, why does he gives it up so quickly? He's like, "Oh, okay, a story." And you're like, "All right, this is there's so much you can do with these few minutes if you're Indy."
Yeah.
You know, and you could make fun of some guy's shriveled. You could make fun of somebody's mother. You could tell the truth. You'd be like, well, look, I grew up and I was a Boy Scout and I was in Utah or wherever.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
you
that's
could
what I'm
act.
thinking of. Like, I mean, when I was listening to it, I immediately thought of you, Jerry. And I thought, if you're standing on this chair and someone says, tell me your story, what story would you want to tell?
Oh gosh, there's so many places to go. Make fun of some guy's shriveled.
I feel like Indy didn't go to any of those places. Is what's weird about this.
Maybe he really does think he's about to get hanged, and he's like, you know what? I'll just tell these guys off, and it'll be a last yuck. And
Yeah.
you know.
I'm going to go with the last yuck.
It's really not though. I'm a little I know he's like being a jerk to them specifically. These guys who are about to execute him and stuff. But I am a little. He's like well, it all started with this little village with these stupid blue-eyed boys who are. Yeah.
They decided to join hands together and follow this sweaty little Pied Piper named Adolf.
Like I get making fun of Adolf Hitler. We all do. We all love to. It's one of our Bugs Bunny taught us that it's a great deal of fun. It's
true.
But why like historically that doesn't seem accurate that they were a bunch of stupid people. They were made. He could have said they were desperate, perhaps even gullible or something. I think either one of those would not only be more historically accurate, but maybe get the chair kicked out from under him a little later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perhaps. I don't know.
And mind you, he's a professor. So
Yeah.
I mean, nobody can spin out, nonsense and just keep going and going and going like professors.
Yeah.
What if he's like a George Santos kind of professor? Like, what if he's what if his whole life is a con? Like, what if everything
Oh my goodness.
is made up? Like,
What if
he's not a
Indiana Jones
professor?
doesn't really know that much about archaeology? What if?
Yeah, Pete,
that
I'm
be
just going
weird?
to ask you to back away from that. I don't really have the stomach for that right now. It's not a con. It's not a con. He's a great archaeologist. He is.
Well, do you think he doesn't take the opportunity to actually show them? Like, that would have been fascinating had he been able to convince them. Like, okay, look, if Berlin is in rubble and the Fuhrer is in hiding, and he really does want to say, look, this guy's a Pied Piper who's leading you to destruction. I'm not saying that he's going to, convince these dudes or anything, but it is kind of, he could, I don't know, there is a lot more of an open discussion he could have.
He's
Well, then
not
listen,
being
this is what I
insulting
really
enough.
think.
He's not
Yeah.
being instructive enough. He's not like, I feel like he's not choosing a path. Like, he's just sort of, he's chosen a really weird thing to say.
I will go on record as saying that I actually do like this moment a lot. I actually do. I like the sweaty little Pied Piper guy. I like
Sure.
that.
What do you like about it?
That's good. It's actually funny. It's a not only is it funny that he's being a jerk to these guys who are about to hang him, but what he actually literally says is funny. Like calling him a sweaty little Pied Piper. That's actually funny.
It's probably the only
Yeah,
time
that is
Hitler's
funny.
ever been called a sweaty little Pied Piper. It's not a standard. It's not a standard trope.
The guy gets really mad and yells and kicks. He does a funny like rah, and then kicks the chair out. And he,
Do you
But
think
this
his compadres were mad about that?
I want to hear how it ends.
I wonder how the story goes.
What the Pied
Oh,
Piper
great!
do?
That was our last prisoner. Now what are we gonna do for fun? The guy kicks the chair very violently.
He does.
He does.
well, that sort of confuses me because I've always been under the impression, and maybe this is something I mislearned, but I had always heard that the reason most people die from hanging is that it breaks their neck. Mm-hmm. And Indy falls, and it cracks his neck. He doesn't stop. He doesn't arrest his fall at all. And the fact that the guy kicked the chair so violently seems doubly sure to make sure that he would have snapped his neck. And so my question here is this a Yahweh assist, or is Indy still enjoying the residual benefits of drinking from the Grail?
I think your
that was
neck
only a couple
snaps
years
when you're
ago.
being professionally hanged because you're on a really high thing, and you fall and I don't think he's high enough for his neck to snap. Maybe, and he's an action hero. I'm going to keep saying that.
Okay.
You know what? I think what's fascinating, and the reason the guy kicked it particularly violently, is that when Indy said, you're a sweaty little Pied Piper, you're like, oh, that really hits them where they live, because that the Pied Piper was from the town. Is it Hamelin?
Hamelin.
Hamelin, yeah, Germany.
Harry Hamlin.
Yeah.
Like
And you're
Harry
like,
Hamlin.
oh, so that was it's kind of like he's talking about Hitler, but he's also talking about the local the local guy from 1,000 years ago.
Yeah,
actually,
Meisterburger.
yeah, who actually still coaxed all you guys.
They're a little
Well, at least
sensitive.
the
They're a little
rats.
sensitive.
Yeah, they're a little sensitive. They're a little
So-
sensitive.
So Pete, is it Yahweh?
I'm more likely to say it's the Grail. Like he still
Yeah,
has
No.
residual benefits from the Grail. But maybe it could be Yahweh.
I could see
If
the
that's the
residual
case, why
benefits
did
of
they
the grip.
catch him in the first place?
Hey, yeah.
Well, the Grail doesn't stop you from being caught. It just stops you
No.
from dying.
Also,
Whereas
I'm going to
Yahweh
say
might
this
stop you
every
from
single time this comes up. Isn't the Grail deal nullified once you leave the cave, or once the Grail leaves the cave? Or
Living
whatever?
forever is
right.
nullified, but it still might have some palliative effects on.
That has
injuries.
not been scientifically proven.
It
Look,
hasn't,
look,
but I'm just going to use it
you
to
have to
explain
think that's-
why some of these things might be happening.
That stuff stays in your liver.
Oh, wow. Okay. Not to be confused
What?
with
So
pop.
Tommy,
Ask your doctor if Grail juice is right for you.
what is
If
the
your
deal
injury
with?
stays injured for more than 4 hours, please consult your doctor.
If your wounds disappear like Alka-Seltzer.
Why are all these Nazis so, like, sort of? I don't know. It's almost like compassionately inquisitive.
They're
The guy-
fellas
remember the
just
guy
like
was
you and me, Jerry. Sure, they're on the other side of the war, but, we're all just people. None of us wants to be here.
No, remember from
Hands
Hands
tells
on,
us
one
all.
leg at a time. and
Yeah.
such.
last episode, there's like, "Are you alone?" And then
Buddy,
this one, he's
fine.
like, "Tell us your story."
I said I like his story, but I really don't. That line is so stupid and awkward because it is just so that it sets Indiana
Yeah.
Jones line up, which is
Yeah.
Oh,
just awkward and I don't like it. Yeah, because you're right. He comes
Is
and
that,
tells
is that
the
like a
story.
thing? Is that like a thing? Like you're not supposed to do that?
I
And
mean,
that's a serious question. I don't actually know. You're not supposed to do that. Like
if
isn't
the
that-
line that precedes the cool line that you're trying to get to doesn't make any sense, then yeah, that's a bad thing.
Oh, okay.
Like if you I don't know how else you would have gotten into this bit of Indy telling a story, but yeah, you want everything to be smooth and make sense on its own, and then it leads to something,
Like
which this did not.
Okay. Got it. Thank
But I
you.
still like sweaty little Pied Piper. Calling people
Yeah.
sweaty is funny,
Yeah.
It is.
especially Hitler. I'm sure he was
Yeah.
sweaty.
It's very odd.
He smelled just horrible, like
Yeah.
horribly. Like people said, he's had the worst breath.
I believe that
Really?
completely.
Yeah, he had really bad stomach problems.
Huh.
There's a bomb.
There's a bomb. I actually looked up what is written on the bomb.
So did
Thank
I.
you.
Did you? Okay. Did you come up with the nano ceramic hairbrush?
I didn't. No, I'm
I
gonna
did,
admit that I did
yeah.
not. What?
Nano ceramic hairbrush.
Well, I actually looked
You guys
up.
are
It's
good.
it's like Pickhalf NT34.
Yeah, and it comes up with a nano.
That's what's
ceramic
written, and
hairbrush.
it's the nano. So I googled that, and what comes up is the nano ceramic hairbrush.
Wow.
I-
What's
But
the
if you look
nano
at the-
ceramic hairbrush?
I don't know.
But it's not part of a bomb.
No.
Not part of the bomb, but we all.
think it's
we-
just-
so,
Might
It
be
is
the
funny
title
that the
of my
bomb
memoir.
says U.S. on it.
Yeah,
It's a U.S. bomb.
It's a
in case anybody
250
asks.
pound U.S. bomb.
I'm a little disappointed that it doesn't have like a hi there on there or something, or New York says hello or something. Or
I do have to say that I'm very much on the record and very much opposed to Tom's wishes that this had been directed by Steven Spielberg. But I would like to say that if this had been directed by Spielberg and this exact same scene with the bomb sinking into the floor like this, like quicksand, Tom, you and Jerry would both be absolutely enraged, and Jerry would say, like, why don't they take it seriously? Why don't they try to make a good movie?
oh, that's funny.
no, you know
Wow,
what?
is that
You know what?
true? Wait, I gotta weigh that.
No.
You would
I
totally say
absolutely-
that.
I love the carpet.
Me too.
I love the carpet quicksand.
But I'm saying
And the
if
slow sink of the
Spielberg
bomb.
had done
Yeah.
it, you would have said, nope, I don't like this.
no. I
I'm
wouldn't
gonna
do
read
this one.
this.
I
I'm
would
gonna-
not have.
I think I
with
agree with
Pete.
Jerry. I think when I watch this and I think that I like it and I'm enjoying like the bomb slowly sinking into the thing, I'm like, oh, that's really good. That's a good kind of not quite Rube Goldberg, but kind of like, exaggerated, cause and effect sort of weirdness that can go on in these movies. And no, I think that if he did that, well, you're right. I would complain about it because I'd already be kind of annoyed by him.
I didn't say you wouldn't like it in this movie. I just said if it was
Yeah.
Spielberg that did it,
If
you wouldn't like
Spielberg-
it.
Ah, you're right.
I love the bomb. I think
Yeah.
it's
How you learned to love the bomb.
how I learned to love the bomb. No,
Different movie.
it's surprising, but I believe it because you don't ever think that the carpet is going to be there, and you're like,
Right.
and at the same time, you're like, no, that makes perfect sense. It's something you would think about. Yes, I know the chances of the bomb not exploding are not that high, but possible.
That
They're
happens.
actually,
Yeah.
yeah, that was actually fairly common because they still
That-
to this
yeah, I
day,
mean-
when you're in Germany, like
Sure.
often they'll say, oh, these streets are closed because they're diffusing a bomb from World War II. That
Oh
was
my
found in the
God.
Sure.
basement. Like this happens all the time still.
And you don't think of, you're like, of course the castle's going to have a carpet because they always, had carpets and tapestries because
And this is the
they're-
spa room. Of course, the spa is.
Yeah,
gonna
It
have
is a spa
Of
room.
course the spa room.
Well, it's also the skull room. There's a lot of skulls in there.
No, yeah. For the
There's
spas
a lot.
went
It's like
wrong.
a hunting lodge room.
Hunting
Yeah.
spa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the
Well,
hunting
we talked about it being
spot.
like a Karen Hall kind of place, like a Goering's hunting lodge kind of place. So
Sure.
I don't
Big
know.
steins
I,
of
I,
mead.
I like the bomb. What's really interesting is if you look at Indy's countenance, what is it? The bomb lands, and how would you describe how he feels when he sees that?
He feels like he's in a movie from 1982 that they took his face from.
That's true. They did have to find.
Oh no, it was
the right
only
faces.
Lucasfilm stuff, so it was probably like more like
Huh.
81 or 80. Okay, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well,
Is
how
it-
do
is
you
it a
think he
callback
was?
to? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Pete.
I was going to ask, is it a callback to Crystal Skull, like that it is like quicksand the way it?
Yeah, I
sinks into
thought
the-
exactly.
Oh,
that.
maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought of that. Yeah.
It is, and I
What was
think
that,
all the
Oh yeah, the whole
The-
castle does a void collapse in a second.
the avoid.
Speaking of quicksand.
The whole, a lot of this kind of looks a little bit like the bar scene in Nepal from Raiders. I mean, the lighting.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's a torch, and it's the way it's lit, and it's
A lot of
got like,
wood and
It's a lot
stone.
of wood. It's dark. There's shadows.
There are people.
And then he does that. He's got that. Okay, so the bomb detonates. All that happens, and he's stuck. And I love this kind of callback. He's stuck by that little pillar, and you're like, it starts to shake and shimmy and fall, and you're like, that looks just like the Anubis from the
Yes.
Well of Souls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Well, and
Callback,
is-
isn't it?
Is
But it was.
it's a gargoyle. So is that a callback to Last Crusade
Oh,
when he swings
Oh.
from the gargoyle with his whip?
Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
oh, I had forgotten that.
Wow.
That's what I said. The art department did a fantastic job. Whoever, they sort of with coming up with iconography or, I don't know, shadows or, the way they set a lot of this stuff is
Yeah.
very indie / Raidersy.
Oh, that guy also looks a little bit like the statue of the snake in the temple that he kind of tips his hat to for a second when he's getting the stones. You guys don't remember that movie? It was pretty good. But yeah, there's a snake that looks sort of like that a little bit. I noticed though, Pete, you mentioned the Germans being crafty and adding the whistle sound to their bombs. We don't really get that whistle sound from this bomb.
This one
before,
didn't have
No,
it.
we
This
do.
one didn't have it.
No, I mean it makes a
This one just
sound,
had-
but it's not like the
this is just like the
cartoony
wind.
boo.
Yeah, this was
So
just
I
like
was-
the wind going through the.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. So it took me. I had to watch that particular part over and over again. I'm like, what is that sound? And then of course I was thinking Close Encounters, which is not at all
Oh.
right at all. Totally wrong. Totally wrong.
Oh wait, what from Close Encounters?
Well, the sound didn't sound like I didn't really
Oh.
think it sounded like a bomb falling from the sky. I
Oh,
thought
okay.
it sounded more like an alien craft, which is not right. I'm just saying it's not right.
Okay.
Well, speaking of, that's a very good time to jump into right before. So the Indy's kind of swinging around by the noose by the neck. Is this where the phrase "saved by your neck" comes from?
Saved by your neck?
What?
You just invented that, so yes.
I don't know. Yeah, save,
I think this
Old idiom.
episode of the show is when
Save your neck. I don't
Save my
know.
neck.
But no, it right before, another pillar collapses, and the noose which is carrying that gargoyle and that heavy pillar starts falling down through the hole in the floors.
Mm-hmm.
And Indy, right before he gets the noose over the top of his head, so it doesn't pull him down with it, we get this wonderful magical trill with bells.
Oh,
And it's the exact same trill we get right before E.T. and Elliot take off to start
No.
flying with the bicycle.
really?
wow.
It sounds exactly like it. It's crazy.
Wait, I'm going to listen.
wow.
'Cause I
Deep
believe
cut
it.
Like
in.
right as he's pushing it off the top of his head.
Oh my gosh. Now I have to go back and watch that because man,
Wait,
I was
like right
not gonna
before
find
that marble thing falls?
No, right before he's lying
Oh.
down, looking down, and he's trying desperately to get the noose off the top of his head.
Oh, I know what you're talking.
Before it
Yeah,
falls.
the kind of shimmery kind of.
We get a little trill
strings
and some
there or
shimmery
something.
bells, and it
Yeah.
sounds exactly like right
You're right.
before E.T. and Elliot go airborne.
That's funny.
That's very funny. So where else would those bells show up?
Wherever they're needed, I guess.
I said,
But it's a weird choice. Like that's why
It's a
I say
very
it. I
weird
think
choice.
it's a Yahweh choice, or maybe that's why he's not so surprised that he's seeing aliens and Crystal Skull, because he's already familiar with them. Because I don't.
My son was really annoyed that John Williams got accolades for this score because he's 90 years old. He didn't write anything, and little things like that made me think, well, maybe there is just he's got just a series of buttons. Like he's got or things hooked up to his keyboard. It's like, okay, like a ET bike. Later on in this,
Guitar.
like at the end of this minute or these sets of minutes, there's like a little trill that kind of comes out, and I'm like, oh, that was a button that he pushed. That was like a yeah.
Well, what does your son think he did? Like, how
No,
did they think
I'm
that
sure
the
he wrote a lot of
music
music.
was conjured?
I think he doesn't understand how 90-year-olds work when they have their faculties and they're tallated and they can do stuff.
very
We're pretty
talented.
close to.
He'll
90.
find
We
out.
don't understand how 90-year-olds work.
I assume he has 10, micro composers
Yeah.
working
might.
for him, and they're like, yeah, I don't know, just do the thing from like
The
Jaws when the
old
boat
number
takes off.
57. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wonder
Speaking of-
15, but backwards. Yeah.
So did you like all the callbacks in the music in the first this first few minutes here? So a lot of things call back, and it's very very John Williamsy and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you
I
like that?
do. Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
too.
Well,
think I do.
you're showing up with respect, which I like. Yeah, they have a respect for the franchise, a respect for sort of the things that we are anticipating or hoping that are there, or the things that make us familiar. We got Nazi Germany. You got castles,
Boxes, so many boxes,
boxes, yeah,
boxes and boxes.
treasure.
Well, he's one
Yeah,
of the points
treasure.
of continuity from the earlier movies. He and Harrison
Yeah.
Ford.
Yeah.
We got the guy in the what's his name at the beginning in the forest running through the botanical gardens. He looks like he lives in a cuckoo clock. He's got a very specific type of hat.
Yeah.
He does. He does.
We really like hats in our indie movies. We like
Sure.
good, distinctive hats.
So if the opening of what's the one with the with the thing?
Oh yeah.
Coronado's the scene with Coronado's cross,
Uh-huh.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that one does not start with any kind of standard John Williamsy Indiana Jones themes. That actually starts with Native American singing,
That is true.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is like, where did they come up with that? But eventually we do get to a guy who's taller than the Indiana Jones and stealing a cross
And his name is Abner.
and has the hat.
Yeah.
So it all
Right.
works out in the end. But
Yeah.
I'm very puzzled by that set of musical choices. Whereas these musical choices I much preferred, because I'm like, I know
Yeah.
exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
It is a thin line. It's like you want it to be familiar, but you don't want to be you don't want him. Even the idea that I had as a joke of that he has a button. Like
Yeah.
you don't want there to be a button. They've played the Raiders theme twice now, and I think it works fine both times. Like the first time you see Indy, and I think right here where he's swinging across with the thing on his neck, You get
Yeah.
the little Raiders thing, and that's great. But I don't remember where, but I remember thinking at some point in this movie, like, that was not the right time to play that. I don't know why they hit that button right then. So you want it to be familiar, but you also don't want it to just be like, okay, you're just pressing all the buttons that you did last time. Just do something different.
He's pressing your buttons at some point.
And I know people who play a lot more. Somebody's pressing my buttons. I know there are people who pay much more attention to the music and they just listen straight up to the soundtrack records and everything, and they love this soundtrack. So they know more about it than I do. But I will defer to them.
At least I wasn't puzzled. I was
Right.
I was
Yeah.
puzzled in the one that started with the Native American singing.
But maybe you want to be a little puzzled sometimes. Like the Temple of Doom opening is absolutely weird. Like it's absolutely
That
weird.
worked, though.
But it's
my
really
favorite
cool.
opening.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, Chris, Professor Christy Porter,
Yeah.
do
some
they,
respect.
so the bomb goes up, everybody goes, woo, flies back and is incinerated, except Indy is fine. Did the noose save him?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it
Noose
did.
saved
Really?
him.
So how
Yeah.
and why? Because it gave him like
Well, I'll tell you,
leeway
Jer,
to fly about?
I'm so glad you asked. It's because the noose stands in for two things. So we got whips and we got snakes, right? So what's going to be the threat?
Paging
Long
Dr.
things.
Freud.
Yeah.
Paging Dr. Freud.
Exactly. So snakes, snakes are a threat, but whips are not. So you need your whip, don't we? Right? We all need our whip.
Yes.
So we need our whip to save our life, and that's why the noose saves his life. It does.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, I agree. I
Wait,
thought
what
that was
happened to
more
the
Yahweh.
snakes in this analogy?
Yeah, wait, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like you should be in more danger.
I abandoned them about halfway through, but that's not really important right now.
That's not a bad thing to do with snakes. I think you handled that well.
Yeah, thank you.
That's why you're still alive and we're all dead.
Well, so does he is there some benefit, like he doesn't, all the other guys fly back.
They're all
And,
like in the middle of the room, I guess.
Yeah.
So, so they.
And he's
they
a
I think
get
little
it.
they keep the noose keeps him from flying up into the heavens, like to Yahweh.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do. They
tethered
just sort of
to this
fly
earth.
straight up, like they just kind of like they're still flying.
That's a little, which is another callback to the end of Raiders.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. They do. They kind of look like, I paused that kind of like it was, 1985 and you had a VCR and you had to sit there and catch the exact microsecond where the bomb blows up and and it looks fantastic.
There's an instant where you can just see like the floor isn't quite destroyed, but you can see all the flames through it. You can see
Yeah.
the pattern of the wood pan. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's super awesome.
And you see the guys are like, they're sort of this silhouettes. It's like they're transitional corpses. It's like you catch them right at the minute. Yeah, it's like they're now faceless and they're transitioning into corpses, like dead Nazis flying back. And it does have a bit of a Raiders call. You're like bodies ascending to heaven.
Yeah.
I mean, to be judged and then go directly to hell.
Jerry, Nazis going directly to heaven, like all good Nazis do.
What?
What?
I don't know. Like in Raiders, we all saw it happen.
Oh.
Well,
Well,
speaking of
they
super
go there for
disturbing and dark things, Tom, and you mentioned Sam earlier. One thing that I kept thinking about during this scene, and I'm curious if Sam knows, do kids still play Hangman?
Oh my gosh.
I don't
Like,
know.
how dark is that game?
Hangman?
Yeah.
Like, when you sit there and
the
you
better you do,
play
the
a
more the
game
guy
that-
gets hanged. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. Now I got to think about that. Oh,
Well, and what's really interesting is you're sitting there, and you're like, all right, if you're the hangman, the executioner, you're sitting there racking your brain with these,
Yeah.
sesquipedalian words.
Do you think they should add like a hangman type feature to like Wordle or something? Would that be better? Would that make the game more exciting and more fun?
no,
Oh,
maybe
okay.
not. But no.
I complain
Lord.
now about how our society is just awash in violence and death, but man,
Yeah.
Oh, I
that
think
was pretty dark.
It's
back
always
then.
been true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Christy,
Yes.
I have a question for you because you didn't get to
I'm
talk
on it.
about this yet. We talked about this a little bit last time, but we said we were going to keep an eye on it. How do you feel about young Harrison Ford in these scenes?
I think he's handsome. He's
Oh, he is
very,
handsome?
Very handsome. He's
Yeah.
very handsome. He's
That is
easy
not
to
in
look at.
question.
Yeah. Well, how
Yeah.
else am I supposed to feel?
Oh, I don't know. Do you think they pulled off the, does the
I do.
de-aging work for you? Is
I
it
think they
distracting?
did a
Is it
great
fun?
job.
Okay.
No, it's
I think it
not
worked very
distracting. I
well
think
for
it's
her.
really fun. I had no idea how they did it, and I think they did a super duper 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 job. And actually, I'm distracted when he's old. so
Why couldn't they have just done that for the whole movie?
we could have done it for the whole movie. I would have been fine with it. Fine with it. I don't know.
All right.
Did they also do it to Basil?
That's a great question. We know they do it to Mads
He's kind of a
Mikkelsen, but I don't know if they do it to
baby face.
Basil.
I feel like
And
Mads
Mads-
looks a lot faker.
Mads doesn't. Neither Basil nor Mads, I think, ages at all very much. I think they're just kind of young looking fellas. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they drink a lot of water.
That's
Yeah.
You would think that.
Stay hydrated.
Well, I think
Definitely
now
think
look,
that.
Mads. When I see him, he does have a nice tote-like sheen.
Sheen.
He's a little,
He's waxy.
you don't know if that's like a Nazi pastiness or a digital pastiness.
Yeah.
No, I think when I see that, like
He's Austrian.
when people, when you read a description and they say, he had a waxy appearance or whatever, you're like, I don't really get that. But then I kind of now I see this, I'm like, yeah, now I understand. He's like, we see him towards the end of this segment here, and he does. I don't know. He looks like he's got a high gloss finish on him. It's like kind
He's
of
wearing
eggshell, maybe. He's creepy.
Yeah, for real. But he's also wearing like a leathery coat, which actually matches pretty well. So
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Compliments it.
That's how you know. So if you're waxy like that, if you're one of those dudes, do you know that you look like that?
Does anybody
No.
really know what they look like, Jerry?
no,
Like, we don't
Well,
want to tell you certain things. 'cause
But
you
never
what's
seen
know it
interesting
already,
is
ever.
don't you think that's a connection? They said leading a sweaty Pied Piper,
Oh.
and then you
Oh.
see later just really
Yeah.
60 seconds after you see a sweaty or at least a sort of a pasty waxen.
Yeah.
Ugh.
He's less
Yeah.
sweaty in the present, or in the 60s. He's less.
I
he's
think
less sweaty.
there's something. Maybe it's an evil gene or something where it shows you like if you're what's the word, prone to evality.
Apologies to all of our listeners who might happen to be waxy.
Yeah.
I
it doesn't
think
mean we don't like you.
We don't necessarily think you're Nazis.
Yeah, but put some powder on.
Take a powder puff to that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he probably got Botox for the hyperhidrosis. There you go. There's a word
Could
for
be.
you, Jer.
I will just say that there is one moment in this sequence where he looks particularly like a character in a video game cutscene. Harrison
Yeah.
Ford. Like he's
is that right?
when he's looking up and the marble part is about to fall
Uh-huh.
and he's getting the thing. Just there's moments where it's like, oh, that's
Yeah.
not a human. That's straight out of a video
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
But
I
I
thought
can't do
Mads
this
looked
stuff
like
at
that a
all.
lot.
So
Yeah.
I guess again we're looking at it 3 minutes at a time under the microscope. So you're just watching the movie. You don't really see it.
Well, I don't know. In the theater,
Some people did. Okay, yeah.
It doesn't help that you know about it. Like if I didn't know, like going into the movie, like, hey, I would get that Harrison Ford is not that young anymore, and they did something. But I don't know, like if you're aware of it, so you're kind of looking for it, and you can't quite relax.
What
and
they did a pretty good
everything's
job. I
hard.
can forgive him for a couple of wrong frames, I guess, because they did and what did it cost? Like $100 billion or something?
A lot.
Oh,
I was
did it
gonna
really?
Say, this
Yeah,
the
it's a lot
movie
of money.
cost about $300 million,
Oh my goodness!
which is like the third or fourth most expensive movie of all time, I think.
Oh my goodness!
But I've never seen anything, and somebody could write in and tell us. I don't know how much of that is this kind of stuff, this de-aging stuff,
Mm-hmm.
or how much of it is that they were filming during COVID, and that donked things up a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So whenever people were talking about, oh, it's a failure because it made $300 million, yes, it didn't make as much money as it should have, but is that fair? My mom and me might want to be nice to everybody. They had a hard time. They were filming during COVID. They had to de-age Harrison Ford. They had a lot on their shoulders. That $300 million is a lot of money. I actually think they all should be very proud of themselves.
Are you saying they didn't set out to make a bad movie?
I'm saying they didn't set out to make an expensive movie.
Yeah.
That was a callback
Perhaps.
to Jerry.
I know. Jerry thinks that all movies are born innocent and pure and good. And
Sometimes directors decide to make them bad by not taking them
hell?
seriously. We do get I will say, we do have some historical realism here. We have we see some German soldiers carrying a like a looted, looks like a Greek head, like a Greek bust or something, and there's an acronym that says ERR, and that was Alfred Rosenberg's task force that they started early in the war, like stealing artwork from Jews and from like kind of small scale, and then it ramped up really quickly, and they started stealing artwork from all over Europe, like from museums and from churches, and they just started stealing all the artwork and whatever they could steal basically, and sent it all back to Germany. And what was interesting though is that they kept absolutely meticulous records. Partly because they were Nazis and Germans always kept meticulous records, but then also because they were trying to justify how much they were spending, like how much they were using in resources, like during a war.
Wow.
And so because of that, they took such meticulous resources or records. But because they did that, a lot of these things that were stolen by ERR, they were able to repatriate after the war because they had the record saying, this was taken from this family.
So
or this was taken from
backfired
this.
is what you're saying.
In the long run, I guess. Yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
So there were a lot of people who were doing that, or just this one guy doing that? Not just
no, it was
one
a
guy.
whole
It was
giant organization, and they had it was huge. It was a huge organization within, I don't remember if it was in the SS or just in the Nazi hierarchy, but they had, they were in almost all the countries in Europe, and they were stealing stuff, Belarus, Poland, France.
Mm-hmm. I made a joke
everywhere.
about it last time, but people really should see The Train, John Frankenheimer's movie with Burt Lancaster.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about this, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It does seem like a weird thing to really spend a lot of time on when you're in a war. Yep, good point. Good point.
Well, it doesn't if you are so ideologically convinced that there's no way you're going to lose the war. Like you're
and that you're supposed to be doing this, and this stuff is yours now.
Yeah, you believe that this stuff belongs to you. Yeah.
Well, but you're like, if Berlin's in rubble, and then you're like, and we're sending the entire, our I don't know, our mobile museum to rubble, to Berlin. At somewhere in there is a bad idea.
Well, it's only 1944, Jerry. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that something that Indiana Jones says? He says, "Well, you got a lot of nice stuff here. What are you doing here? Well, you got a lot of nice stuff here. It's not your stuff."
Other stuff, which is
other
the same stuff Indy has.
People's
that
stuff.
sickens Indy when he sees people taking stuff that doesn't belong to them.
Exactly, because he wouldn't do it.
That's a total Belloc move right there.
It is.
Because what was once yours is now mine.
Yeah.
But I should mention that also up until the end of the war, lots of Germans still believed that there was, Hitler had like a secret weapon or like a wonder weapon or something.
Oh yeah.
He was still gonna. They still believed that he was going to pull out a victory somehow.
They thought he got the Ark.
Yeah.
Wow. So explain this to me. We see Mads Mikkelsen has his briefcase.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so give me a little exposition here. So he looks down. They show you the briefcase.
You get that musical sting that tells you that this is going to be an important plot point. So
that's another button. That's a John Williams button.
Yeah.
I don't know what number it is, but that's one of his buttons.
Yeah.
The little
I didn't like
trill
it
you
here
get.
because
You do or you don't?
I don't watching it 3 minutes at a time because it felt very contrived.
It seems very contrived. It seems very late 80s kind of contrived.
It definitely felt like at the video game where you get a little cue telling you, pay attention, put this item in your inventory.
It's like I get he's looking meaningfully down at something that I don't know what it is. I get that there's something going on. I don't need the little trill, But but Jerry, you're asking what's going on here?
Yeah.
With this meaning, and I admit I was watching these minutes like this. I was like, wait, am I supposed to know what that is? See, that's not the lance. He's watching them put the lance on the thing. So what's that?
Right.
But I realized later, we're going to find out later what that is, Jerry.
Okay,
The meaning of this look here is, I'm worried about that, but I've got this.
I see.
And we don't know what this is yet.
See, that's why I like seeing movies with you, Tommy.
See? We should do this more often.
You could just tell me my thoughts.
But
Jerry?
is this dumbing down the movie? Like, is this the kind of thing that is assuming that audiences aren't smart?
I want to say, my first reaction is yes, it is dumbing down because it's a little extra cue you don't need, but it might, you could also just say, no, it's a little flourish. It's a little, a little, John Williams something or other on it, which can be fine, but
We're
right
also
here it
trying to
bothers
bring
me.
in a new group of people, like people who aren't as familiar with John Williams, or they're not as familiar with Indiana Jones, or even like what a cue might be if these are, if these are kids, who knows?
They don't know that every time Short Round enters the room, he sets off a little thing that goes da 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 da.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's a leitmotif. That's great, Tom.
There you go. I mean, all things are great unless they suck.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
They're overdone.
every single part of this could be, there's just cultural, like whether we hate it or not.
I know. It's just it's a question of too much or just enough or yeah.
Well, the same could be asked of this podcast.
That is true. Hey, Christy, I have another question for you.
Yes.
I think we're at the end of these minutes. I'm just going to ask you, and you can just be as honest as you want to be. How do you feel about this movie?
I love it.
Oh, you love
Wow.
it? Oh, fantastic.
I love it. I love it,
Nice.
love it, love it. But I don't really love it because it's a great movie. So
Okay.
I love it.
There
I
you
love it
go.
for all the other reasons.
Okay.
I
It hits all
love
your indie buttons.
it. Oh man, it's the last one. Something that I would have a different choice. I mean, would have made different choices. Like I didn't really need him in the '60s in the space race.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I didn't even need him, in the '50s. I just needed him to play in the '40s. But I think it's just fun to watch Indiana Jones movies. So I can't get mad at this. Jared would say I ain't mad at that. So yeah. What about you guys?
As you were saying that, I'm thinking, oh, you know what? I think I like this. I like it fine as an Indiana Jones experience, but I think I like the good parts of it as a movie more. Like I think I like it as a movie in the ways that I like it.
Yeah, I like that
as
too.
a movie.
I like that too.
I don't love everything about it, and not all of it works, but the parts that work, I think, work really well. And then it also happens to be an Indiana Jones movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know which is stronger.
Yeah.
But it works. But it's very much a contemporary movie. It's not a Spielbergian movie at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no Spielberg in there. There's a lot of John Williams, but there was not
Yeah,
Spielberg.
I agree.
I don't know if he tried to make a Spielberg movie, or he was.
I think if
making
you
his own
ask
movie.
him, he says he was trying to do some Spielberg, things, some get those feels or something. But I don't know if I see that, and I don't know if I need it. I'm good. Pete, you disagree, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Still
That's
friends.
fine.
Pete, you didn't like it?
I liked it when I saw it, and then the more I thought about it, the less I liked it. And apparently, as we're watching him 3 minutes at a time, I dislike everything about it. But
Okay.
that wasn't my experience when I actually watched the movie, the one time I watched it. So I'll be curious how this holds up.
It's really hard. I mean, okay, like Tommy, when I hear you do we were discuss Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny 3 minutes at a time. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're doing this. We're doing the new Indiana Jones movie. I can't believe there's a new movie and it's now called Dial of Destiny and Tommy's announcing it and here we are. Like there's an excitement.
Yeah.
That's pervasive. Whether I like the movie or don't like the movie, there's an excitement that I don't know. There's a foundation of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of fun.
I can never sweep away.
Well, what you're saying kind of triggers in me that I think is fun is I feel like every other one of these movies we talked about had already been talked about ad nauseum before we ever talked about it. But I feel like this movie, and maybe I just don't look at the right places. I don't feel like I've heard anybody really talk about this movie to any great extent. So I feel like we're kind of going in new with this, which is kind of fun.
It's the first one. Well, I guess Crystal Skull was sort of like that, but that came out after the time where every single movie was the biggest thing in your life.
Yeah.
And it was like the biggest thing of that summer, and it was like a milestone in your life. And like now it's kind of like, oh, blockbuster. Okay, now the next blockbuster, now the next one.
Right.
There's no cultural coming together around something anymore. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's no one asking us, Tell us your story.
Tell us more about Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, it's all Instagram, like 5 seconds.
Oh,
That's it.
maybe we should just do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We should just Instagram like
Yeah.
15-second dissections of the movie.
No, it's
Save us some
there's
time.
like a 12-second video on TikTok about a dog who finally achieves his dream of becoming a mailman. You're like, yeah, it's just a feel good
Oh,
12-second vignette. It's all anybody has the capacity for.
Here's something that might not make you feel good. It might be the feel bad little vignette. Is the fact that this movie wasn't very successful, and the fact that all of the original movies were basically pegged to our generation.
Mm-hmm.
Does the fact that this movie did poorly mean that our generation is now sort of irrelevant?
I mean, we are, but
We-
not
I mean,
because
yeah,
of
we
this
are,
movie. But I think it's got more to do with don't think that your nostalgia is going to pay off in big bucks for
Yeah.
an audience that is largely not your generation anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was like I was saying last time. Like, why is this movie here? But I think that's part of it. Is like, yes, me and my friends are going to be glad to see an Indiana Jones movie, but do we have to drag everybody else on Earth to go see it? Are they going to watch?
Here's the
Are
thing,
they my
though.
friends too? What?
Here's the thing, and there's a big argument against this exactly, and that would be a lot of the Disney Star Wars stuff, that some of which has been wildly successful.
Yeah.
Because people are like, okay, I'm 40 or 50 or 55 or 60 or whatever, and you're like, I don't know if you're 40 or 50, like I had this wonderful experience as a child. I'm gonna, Disney's like, let's capitalize on the nostalgia for the 40 or 50-year-old, and then also, bring in these other younger generations, like, or 5 to 15 or 18 or 20,
Yeah.
whereas you get both.
Well, I-
generations. You get the nostalgia, and then if you make a great movie or a great series, now you have
Yeah.
a whole new group that's going to be following it. Now, look, The Mandalorian seemed to be successful, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like Star Wars isn't pegged to our generation like it was originally. But then when the prequels came out, an entire new generation grew up with Star Wars.
Yeah.
That was kind of made for them, and that a lot of people, that's their Star Wars. Like they
And not just that, but like Star Wars, even between movies and trilogies and everything, has lasted through like toys and video games
Yeah.
and stuff. There's always been Star Wars stuff for us to give our kids, and then they're into it. Like, my son played the Lego Star Wars game, and that's how we got into Star Wars. So and Raiders has not had that kind of stickiness, that kind of staying power from generation to. I mean, of course, obviously, there's people like us who pass it on to our kids and they're into it and stuff. But
I mean,
not the
obviously,
same thing.
there are people of all generations that like the movies, but it feels much more than a lot of other movies. Definitely pegged to our specific Gen X, whatever little era of time.
I don't know exactly why that is. Why Star Wars? I mean, is it just because Star Wars is a space movie and it's
Well,
cool
I think
and
because
it's got
Star Wars
laser
kept
swords?
reinventing itself. Like it kept
Yeah.
introducing itself to younger generations, and I don't think Indiana Jones ever really did.
Mm-hmm. Like if Indiana Jones had gone the James Bond route and just kept churning out movies, maybe it would have.
Yeah, or if they
been
had
more
had
relevant.
some movies after, in the 90s or stuff that would introduce a later generation to the movies, it might have
Yeah.
done.
And
Because
again,
I
I
feel
don't
like
want
Crystal
that.
Skull wasn't. Yeah, you don't want that. You're saying you don't want that?
I don't know. Yeah, I was happy with 3 movies. I thought they literally rode into the sunset and it was great. And then they kept on going.
Well, the question I had for the three of you is whether or not you think, based on these first few opening minutes, if the 5 movies hang together.
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying, this opening sequence does have it hits all your indie buttons. It's got Nazis, it's got the 40s, it's got Indiana Jones. He looks like Harrison Ford from the 80s. So yeah, I think it's kind of like that shot of Indy and Mutt in Crystal Skull, where you look at it, you're like, oh, I'd see that movie. That looks like an interesting Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
And then like this, if you see any shots of this, like Indy being interrogated by Nazis in a castle somewhere, you're like, oh, I'd see that movie. That looks like a cool Indiana Jones movie. All right.
Yes. Yeah,
That was the right answer.
see,
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'd see it again. I'd see
Yay.
it again for sure.
I
What do you
loved
think,
it. You
Jared?
loved it.
I did. I liked it.
I do. I saw the movie once in the theater, and I definitely need to see it again. Now, watching it 3 minutes at a time is a unique experience.
Yeah.
Always
so
is.
I don't really know. I know so many people loved the opening scene, the opening vignette, as we'd say, and I remember feeling a little on the fence on it. So we'll see. We'll see. But I do need to go back and watch the movie in its entirety, just as a singular piece.
Yeah, I should do that too.
You might like it. I'm not making any promises.
I
but you might like it.
apparently I'm the only person who had high hopes for the movie when it came
No.
out. Yeah,
I-
You might be
hopes
on
for the
Earth,
movie?
perhaps.
It did not meet my. It did not meet my my aspirations, I guess, for it. But that's okay.
But you still like it.
You still loved it.
I did.
Loved it, not liked it.
I did. Yeah. I mean, it's not an Indiana Jones movie, but but I still liked it. It's not Indiana Jones. It's okay. It's all right. I can
Well, since
live with it.
Christy is here talking to us, I assume there's nothing coming in over the wire because that would be impossible. Like, why would she send something over the wire
No
if she's sitting here talking
Yeah,
to
I'd
us?
have to like go forward in time.
Wait, what is it? Oh, there's some sort of...
Come back.
Wait. All right, with Christy here, it's a little tough to have Christy here over the wire,
tough.
but
Come
that
back
doesn't
in
mean that
again.
there's nothing coming in over the boop, boop.
We're all going to be killed by whatever's coming in over the wire.
Good
Are
Lord.
they coming in from the biggest Billy Goat?
I don't understand this gag. After 5 years,
I don't know either, but I love it.
There's nothing big or Billy Goat Gruff about Mimi Porter.
It's true. It's true. She's regular size. Not a goat.
She's an esquire coming in over the wire from the Billy Goat. Billy Goat. Boop, boop, boop. From Mimi Porter Esquire, a question for Pete.
Uh-oh.
See, look at that. Okay. Pete, when the German guy is chasing the guy who lives in a cuckoo clock,
Yes.
what is going on with the double flashlight around his neck? Did he
Oh,
get
what?
that from Hamish or Slemmer?
That's hilarious. Yeah, I watched that and I was like, that's weird. It's like he's got light boobs or something.
Dude, yeah.
Oh my God. You're right.
Check that out.
Light boobs. How did they not win the war?
What is
Not a thing.
how
I
did
don't
they
know.
not win the war? Do you see that flashlight? The guy's got a double flashlight hanging around his neck.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
And
That's so weird.
So somebody did their research or was going through the prop thing, and they're like, okay, World War II, World War II, World War II. How about, yeah, the double flashlight you hang around your neck so you can run through the botanical gardens?
It's funny, too, because they cut from that to like a bunch of cars with headlights, and you're like, oh, they were going to try to turn their soldiers into cars. And there's this guy was like, halfway through.
That's not right.
It's not,
Just,
oh,
No, that's not how that works.
okay.
This
Now
did
I know.
this did have more flashlights than an X-Files episode. Like this, there were a lot of flashlights.
There were a
Yeah.
lot of flashlights.
A lot. Oh, yeah, totally.
That's
lot
a
of
bit
candles.
of a, that's kind of an ET callback, too, running through the woods being chased by flashlights.
Oh yeah,
Oh, for
Yeah, it's
sure.
true.
yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
It's a good ET movie. Well, on that note, thank you, Mimi Porter Esquire, and thank you, Professor Christy Porter.
Yes.
Oh,
For
so
joining
nice
us.
to be here
Absolutely.
This
I
has been
nice to be
love
awesome.
when you join us, Christy Porter.
for the last time ever.
Yeah,
What?
you're never coming
Then-
back. No, come on. Stop
Well,
it.
it's the fifth movie.
Yeah, we got a lot of movie. Who knows? Anything
Yeah.
can
Oh, okay.
happen.
Yay!
Yay.
Back.
Yay, indeed. Everybody, if you're saying to yourself, yay, because you're loving this show, then you should also, while you're waiting for the next episode, you should come visit us on our Facebook group, Indiana Jones Minute and the Listener's Crusade. Join us to talk about this movie and anything Indiana Jones, and maybe also, like, I don't know, Mountain Dew and cuck chairs for some reason.
Ugh. No.
All sorts of stuff happens over there. You can also support the show over at patreon.com/Indiana Jones Minute, where you can get postcards from the three of us goons. You can get early access
two
to
of
the
us.
show. Oh, yeah, maybe two of us. Maybe on a good day, maybe three. Who knows? Early access to the show. You can get our bonus episodes of Anything Goes over there. Anyway, it's a party, so check it out. And please check out our next episode right here next week as we continue our discussion of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny right here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
And tell us your story.